Welcome to Globe Watch with me, Charles Obile, Ed, from the Hilton Hotel here in Yaoundé, Cameroon. It is a community of about 2.4 billion people coming from 56 countries, making it the largest geocultural club in the world. We are talking about the Commonwealth that recently bid farewell to Queen Elizabeth II, its sovereign monarch and leader for the past 70 years uninterruptedly. The Commonwealth today is known as one of the biggest economic forces in the world, with an economic space of roughly $13 billion, having the richest, the poorest, the smallest, and some of the largest countries in the world. Just how far can the Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council be a reliable tool as an economic engine for struggling economies around the world, especially for its member countries? My guest today on Globe Watch is the chairman of the Commonwealth Investment and Enterprise Council, twice a minister in the British cabinet, one-time envoy of the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom for trade, and a touring business element of the British establishment, who at one time in his life served as the treasurer of the current governing party of the United Kingdom, the Conservatives. Lord Jonathan Peter Marland, welcome to Globe Watch.
Thank you, Charles. And I should just say that I've been in business all my life, so the politics, being in government, was only 4 years out of a very long time. So I think I'm in a good position to talk business as well as politics.
Absolutely. We'll be coming to your business life in a moment. But let us just collectively reflect on the legacy of Queen Elizabeth II. The entire world bid her farewell last September 19 in one of the most watched events globally. At least 2,000 guests were gathered in the 753 years old Westminster Abbey Church to bid her farewell. I presume, as a member of the British Upper House of Parliament, you were inside there. How did you reflect on that day?
Well, you presume wrong. I didn't go to it. These things are much better watching on television, actually, because you have to be there hours before the start, and I wanted to watch it on television. I did have the privilege of visiting her in state, lying in Westminster Abbey, in the Westminster Hall in the Houses of Parliament, which was a great privilege. And I had the privilege of knowing her and meeting her on many occasions. And there are countless stories of her great sense of humour, her incredible ability to not give anything away. She could be very deadpan unless you caught her privately. She had unbelievable enthusiasm for the Commonwealth. I mean, you'd mention the name Commonwealth and her eyes would light up. And in that respect, obviously, in theory, she's a great loss to the Commonwealth as head of state. But King Charles, as he now is, has been involved in the last 2 or 3 CHOGMs, heads of government meetings. He's been a great supporter of our organisation. He comes at it obviously from a different angle to his mother, but will come at it with real enthusiasm, because after all he's been waiting for this for a very long time. So I'm very keen on the King as head of the Commonwealth. I particularly admire he was one of the world leaders in climate change and bringing that to our attention, which is now arguably the main event for peoples across the world. He was an early thinker on food security and sustainable food security, and now we live in a world where sustainable food security is very important.
Sure. Before we move forward, the Queen was 70 years on the throne. She inherited the Commonwealth when it was just 7 member countries. She left it when there were 56. When it comes to the businesses of the Commonwealth, how do you evaluate our influence over those years in encouraging businesses to blossom in member states?
Obviously, she didn't involve herself per se in business. She was much more interested in keeping a level of harmony and engagement between those countries that were members of the Commonwealth, which, as you said, expanded eventually to 56. And when tough decisions had to be made, when, for example, Rhodesia / Zimbabwe was removed from the Commonwealth, she would pour oil on troubled water and ensure that it wasn't too disruptive amongst the Commonwealth nations. So at a very high level, she was very influential, but she didn't get into the nitty-gritty of trade, business, or some of the political Commonwealth issues that exist. So, and the Prince of Wales, when he was Prince of Wales, was able to do that, particularly on climate change, and he did a number of things and a lot of events with our organisation. But whether he will be able to now we will find out.
Absolutely. The Commonwealth is an association of 56 countries today, 2.4 billion people with an economic market of roughly $13 billion. How much of a force of business transactions is the Commonwealth in the world today?
Well, it has been proven to be 19% more competitive doing intra-Commonwealth business. Similar rules of law, similar language so that you don't have to translate after every conversation you're having. Similar interests. I mean, football was created in the United Kingdom. I come to the country of Cameroon. I believe you're not very keen on football here, but if you were keen on football...
Strikingly, England, just like Cameroon, will be part of the Qatar expedition next month for the World Cup.
Exactly, and of course we've got a lot of Cameroon players in our country, and you've got a wonderful stadium here, which and you've had the Africa Nations Cup. So no, I was obviously joking, but so we share commonalities through the Commonwealth, which is very hard to put a finger on and say, you know, why am I a member of the Commonwealth? Well, you know, but it is 19% more competitive trade-wise, and for all those variety of reasons. And that's why trade will increase with the Commonwealth. It will also increase because it is of the growing populations in the world. So as we know, Nigeria is going to be a larger population than the United States of America by 2030. India is growing constantly, rapidly, whereas China isn't, because it's put a rule of one child, one family. And we've seen the population of Cameroon increase in 30 years from 5 million to 27 million people. So the population increases are within the Commonwealth, and that means trade will increase, which is a good thing.
Previously, we had what they call the Commonwealth Business Council, and you headed it. Why do you think it was necessary to reform from the Commonwealth Business Council to the Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council?
Well, I took over an organisation that really wasn't a good business model. It was losing money, and it wasn't providing the service that was required. It was basically organising events, and that's not a sustainable business model in this current world. So we changed the name of the business because we had to, and we revamped it, and now we're a membership organisation of which we're really proud to have the government of Cameroon and 4 other businesses in Cameroon as members. We have nearly 150 members. We are a solvent organisation. We have representatives in 9 or 10 countries. We're just about to open in Kenya. We're already in Ghana and Nigeria, and I'm looking at the possibility of here in Cameroon, if we can generate enough interest in supporting a representative here, we will do so. we're in Malta, we're in Gibraltar, we're in the City of London, we're in Sri Lanka, and the Caribbean. So we're a growing organisation, building representative offices, and there is a dynamic. And just the real experience of bringing businesses from all these countries together, and politicians too, gives it a credible dynamic and for me, an enormous privilege.
In a moment we'll talk how your business background helps you in handling the Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Forum. But first, of the 2.4 billion people of the Commonwealth, at least 1 billion of them are middle-class economy people, and roughly a majority of them, at least 70% of the population, is less than 30 years. What does the council do practically to encourage entrepreneurship and small and medium-sized enterprises within the member associations?
Well, we work closely with business organisations. So CII in India, for example, which is the main business, the largest business representative body. Obviously, we're involved with other organisations throughout the Commonwealth which represent businesses. And of course, SMEs on the whole can't afford to be members of our organisation, but their industry bodies can. Our organisation is about networking and bringing businesses together, enabling them to find opportunity in various countries and with each other in support. So we do two specific things with our representative offices. We obviously have links to law firms and accountancy firms. So if you're an SME and you want to go and chance your arm at selling into another country which you've never been at before, we can at least provide you with a reputed lawyer through our Commonwealth legal network and a reputed accountant who can advise you on the route to market, which is very important for SMEs. We don't, by the way, sell on the SME's behalf or any business's behalf.
Absolutely.
We don't do deals for them.
Absolutely.
We just merely create the framework which they want. And there's that old saying, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. I don't know whether that's a Cameroon saying or what the translation is, but I think you can get the impression. All we do is say, look, come and have a drink. If you don't want it, if you don't want to come and have a drink, then you won't. And if you do, maybe the water does taste very good, and that you'll want to have some more. And largely because we lose very few members, our membership really likes what we're doing.
Like you just indicated, you have about 150 partner.
What I will do by the time I've left Cameroon will be inundated.
Absolutely. Partner organizations operating in roughly 27 countries out of the 56 member states of the Commonwealth. Tell me, one of the key events you organize is the Commonwealth Business Forum, which of course coincides each time you have a CHOGM, that is the Summit of the Commonwealth. How useful is that forum to bring businesses together to produce an ecosystem that connects and provide the best practices?
Well, I'm the wrong person to ask, because I obviously think it's a great success. And you can make your own judgment, or you can ask people who attend it. But I felt in Rwanda, in Kigali, which was our last one in June this year, we had 1,700 businesses, 20 plus heads of state. We had the Prince of Wales, we had the head of the World Health Organization, we had representatives from Africa Bank, we had the president of FIFA. There are very few events in the world, and maybe Davos is the only one, that can attract such a broad spectrum of people. As I said to you earlier,
this is the Davos of the Commonwealth.
It is. Well, I think it's the second biggest global event in terms of getting together. And again, it's that horse to water thing. If you don't want to take the chance of come to it and you don't want to drink the water, then you're not going to find it a very good event. But those that did, I think the atmosphere was fantastic, brilliantly organised by the Rwandan government. There were a number of Commonwealth countries that didn't send delegations, and now they're beginning to regret it. Of course, you have to give the the out that COVID was still out and about, so people were being cautious about it. But we were turning people away.
Cameroon is one of the countries whose organizations or business corporations like the National Shippers Council, the Investment Promotion Agency, plus other government agencies are part of this network. One of the latest groups you added is Emerging Africa by Toye Sani, which is found in Nigeria. All these are people who have been guests on this program. How advantageous is it for Cameroon to belong to this network? Well, you have been moving from one government ministry to another.
You'll have to ask our individual members that. But for our organisation...
I'll be putting that question to the Director General of the National Shippers Council in another interview. But
well,
as somebody with the most informed analysis of the...
He's a great man, by the way, and has been a huge supporter of ours from the very beginning, as has the government of Cameroon. So we're very grateful. When we get Mars, the big American corporation, joins us, it adds to our networking credibility. So
the Afri-Exim Bank, the Dangote Group.
Yes.
And the bosses of all those organizations have been
British Petroleum.
Sure.
And a lot of great banks, Standard Chartered, all these sort of things. It enhances our reputation to have them as members. The very fact that they see it as a good networking organisation delivering for them is how we get our satisfaction, and hopefully through that they get their own satisfaction.
Probably you have had encounters with Cameroonian state agencies, from the finance ministry to that of small and medium-sized enterprises. You have been to the investment promotion agency. You will be meeting equally with the National Shippers Council. You had a meeting with diplomats at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Prime Minister, Head of Government, Joseph Dion Guti. After having conversations with these people, what sense of feeling do you have of the relationship between Cameroon and the Commonwealth, and particularly doing business with the institution you are heading?
Well, the great thing is you have people who look after your relationship with the Commonwealth in government, which means that it's there. And of course your Prime Minister himself was minister responsible for the Commonwealth, so he knows it inside out, and he's
for plus 2 decades.
For what?
For plus 2 decades in that position.
Yeah. So there's in the DNA of Cameroon, there's the Commonwealth exists, and there is a feeling, unlike a number of countries in the Commonwealth, that, and rightly so, that we must make an effort towards the Commonwealth in order to get the benefits of it. And that is what is in the DNA of the Cameroon government, your government here. And I think that's very impressive, because there is no point of being a member of an organisation unless you're going to get benefits from it. And that is a determined effort, and I applaud it, of course. And as I say to most of our friends and members, we're like a golf club. If you don't want to play golf, don't join us. If you don't want to mix with other members, don't bother coming. If you don't want to use the facilities and have something that's going to enhance your existence, then don't be a member. But if you do want that, then come in and see the other members, spend time with them, work with them, and enjoy the opportunities that it presents. And I think Cameroon, and I think the two strategic partners that you've already mentioned, and the other two joining Port of Caribe and SARCOM and things like that, FICOM rather, are also see the same thing. So it's great. And you only need to see the representatives from Cameroon at the business forum to understand how they have fully embraced the opportunities in the Commonwealth. They were there in numbers. They created a great atmosphere. They started building links and ties with lots of other countries, and that is to their eternal credit.
You are the treasurer of the UK Conservative Party, which has to do with business, finances, money. You were at one time Minister for Skills. You were at one time Minister for Energy. You have a strong background creating companies in the United Kingdom and across the Commonwealth. And at what moment of your life too, you have had other things which probably I may not mention here. How do you use your business background in shaping the Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council?
Well, I was very lucky. I started my first business when I was 25. It was absurd thinking back. It became quite a big global business, so I was in very much the van of taking a business out of 9 people to 3,500. In 10, 12 years. So you've almost, well, you've learned how to write out every invoice all the way up to and managing people, etc. So it gave me a great learning curve. And the Commonwealth Enterprise Investment Council is a business. We're a not-for-profit commercial organisation, and we're dependent on revenue. And I think we tick all 3 boxes that I've always believed in business, and I stand corrected if I'm not, but that's management, margin, and money. Because without money and a stable balance sheet, you can't do anything. If you don't have the right margin, you don't make any money, and if you don't have the right management, the business doesn't exist. So those have been my 3 watchwords in business. And I can't tell you what a great team we've got at the Commonwealth Enterprise Investment Council. They're all 100% committed to what we do. They go that extra yard, which is all I can ask. We've built up a credible balance sheet now, which has enabled us to expand and to develop in some of the countries I've mentioned, and hopefully here in Cameroon. And we don't earn a rich living from it because we're a not-for-profit organisation. But hopefully we find we're an attractive place to work, and through our membership and the events we put on, we have a really exciting time.
Additionally, you were the UK's Prime Minister Envoy for Trade. When you look at what has transpired in the world today, especially in the context of COVID and the energy crisis we are facing in the world today and COVID-19, what best advice can you give to Commonwealth countries, especially in Africa, south of the Sahara, who are facing severe challenges in many domains?
Well, it is a well-known fact that free trade is the way out of poverty. Trade produces growth and brings people out of poverty. So the signing of the Africa Free Trade Agreement is a really impressive step forward. And the speed with which it's done, by the way, is incredibly impressive. So I think you'll find that will be a very good foundation for free trade. You have, as you referenced earlier, a big youth contingent, a lot of people under 30. I'm not sure it's 70%, but it's certainly 55, 60. And they will be pushing hard to find a living and create a living for themselves. And that will mean that they push the agenda forwards. And investment is very important. So what is strong in Cameroon is that you've moved to a transparent way of doing business, that the rule of law is enforced, and it's a secure place to live and work.
This is a question I ask nearly all the members of the British Upper House of Parliament I've ever met. Lord Sebastian Coe was here back in 2014 as my guest.
He's quite a good runner, he tells me.
Okay. Current Secretary General of the Commonwealth, who used to be here with me, just like Lord Boateng, the former
of course I know
British High Commissioner to South Africa. Members of the British House of Lords are some of the most accomplished personalities around the world. What kind of advice can you have for young people in Cameroon in particular to use their energies for the meaningful development of their country to become accomplished individuals like you?
Well, that's very flattering, and also to be included in the same names as Sebastian Coe and Valerie Amos and Paul Boateng, all of which I know, is very flattering to be in the same grouping as them. I mean, I never went to university. I'm not very bright, but in the words of a golfer called Gary Player, the more I practice, the luckier I become. And hard work is how you make progress in life. And in my case, a lot of luck.
Finally,
what's your final question?
I said before the last question, I calculate my English carefully. Finally, you made a lot of metaphors in relation to sports, and let's end with a question which has to do with football. The last time Cameroon and England met at the final stage of the World Cup was possibly in 1990. Will you like to see the Indomitable Lions play the English national team at what moment next month in Qatar, 2022 at the World Cup?
Well, of course, it will be a great moment for both countries. When we beat you, it will be better for us.
And it will be better for us to beat you. Lord Marland, the chairman of the Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council, thank you very much indeed for being guest on Globe Watch.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a great privilege.
You're welcome, sir.